Welcome to a brand new episode of the Jampack Report, today for November the 13th of 2019, and I'm not even going to lie. It's a slow news day. Of course, I'm Samuel Adams, and this is a daily gaming news podcast hosted 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, on YouTube and podcast services. If you like that show, you might want the written rundown on Medium, which is, of course, at medium.com/jampackreport. But links to everything, including my social media, are down below. So follow, subscribe, stay up to date and informed. But today, like I said, not too much going on. We've got 2 canceled Superman games that have come out thanks to a Twitter thread from James Sigfield. We will break that down, talk more about what exactly happened to these Superman projects. Then we have more clues about the next BioShock game. Echo Fox has shut down in the wake of a giant controversy that ended up costing the entire company to finally calm down. Then Minecraft Earth is now available, and finally, Sonic Mania's main animator led the redesign process for Sonic in the upcoming Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Did I mention Sonic? I should really get the restaurant to sponsor this episode. But that rounds out today's lineup, and without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. Rumors suggest Warner Bros. Has canceled 2 open-world Superman games since 2013. In a Twitter thread from James Sigfield, a journalist at Geeks Worldwide, he says that Warner Bros. Canceled 2 open-world Superman games since 2013. Sigfield mentions how Warner Bros. Was taking pitches from different game directors and producers back in 2013 for a Superman game. One of these pitch titles was an open-world game that was similar to Marvel's Spider-Man, which was released last year. However, the project got canceled during its prototyping phase. The next Superman game would have been called Superman Unbound, which is the same title as a Superman animated film that released in 2013. Set to take place in a city called Kandor, the game wouldn't have been as open world as the previous project. Additionally, some of the villains Superman would have encountered include Brainiac and Doomsday, just to name a few. Ultimately, the project was canceled due to a mandate from Warner Bros. That every DC Comics game had to be made using Rocksteady's Batman Arkham engine. Because of this requirement, the team couldn't get Superman's flight to work. Additionally, a rumored Suicide Squad game was also canceled due to this requirement from Warner Bros. The Suicide Squad game would have had players use characters such as Harley Quinn, Deathstroke, and Katana. Over the past few years, rumors have circulated about Warner Bros. Montreal's new title being a Batman game, which will feature the Court of Owls. Additionally, voice actor Kevin Conroy has come out to say he is not involved in Warner Bros. Montreal's latest game. The latest rumors say Batman Arkham Legacy will be the latest title in the Arkham series, and it will let players take control of characters from the Batman family. As is the case with every rumor, this one should be taken with a grain of salt, but Sigfield ends his thread by saying Warner Bros. Continues to take pitches from developers about a new Superman game. So there is a lot to break down here, and we are going into this assuming that everything is accurate. That's what I want to make very clear. None of this is confirmed. A lot of this is still rumor, but of course, as rumors tend to go, the gaming industry is tight. A lot of people listening to what's going on. This could be legitimate, and we're going to assume that it is. So 3 games have come and gone since 2013, according to this Twitter thread. You have the original Superman game, which of course made it to the planning stage, essentially. Didn't make it too far out of the prototyping phase of development. Then you had, of course, the Superman game, I believe it was called Superman Unbound, that came to, of course, potentially a playable state before they realized they couldn't code Superman's flying because of the Rocksteady engine. And then you had the Suicide Squad game that actually succumbed to the exact same issue. They couldn't code it using the Rocksteady engine. So it sounds like this is more of an engine issue than a lot of other things. Of course, that being taken into consideration, Rocksteady built that engine from the ground up for Batman Arkham games, so it's difficult for somebody to just jump into the driver's seat and make that compatible with a lot of other franchises, a lot of other ideas. I totally understand that. But on the flip side, I also understand why Warner Brothers wants to make a lot of superhero games using Rocksteady's engine. Number one, because that is their in-house engine, they can use that. But on top of that, it creates this kind of cohesive appearance of these DC Comics games. For instance, when you pick up a Batman game, you know it's a Batman game. You could also tell that Insomniac took a ton of inspiration from the Rocksteady games whenever they were creating the engine for Marvel's Spider-Man. The games play in a very similar fashion. Of course, the combat has been tweaked for Spider-Man. Of course, you don't have Batman-style combat for Spider-Man, but at the same time, you can definitely tell that there is a similar DNA there. And so I think that's what they should do. Don't necessarily use the Rocksteady engine, but lay that engine down and then tweak it a bit to make it work for a Superman game or to make it work for a Suicide Squad game. There is still a ton of potential for both of those franchises. But It looks like right now they are just kind of not making too much headway with Superman games. But I love this type of story where you get an inside look into what exactly could have been if things had panned out in a different way. At least, I don't know. Did we really want 2 new Superman games? Did we really want a Suicide Squad game? You'll have to let me know in the comments section down below. But for those curious as to whether or not you would be getting one anytime soon, it looks like not right now. Not right now. And it's also worth mentioning that Batman and Spider-Man as heroes are much more grounded than Superman. So, of course, with Batman, you do have all these various batarangs and you have these grappling hooks, etc., that do make traversal a little bit cumbersome. Of course, that can all be overcome, whatever you want to say. But Spider-Man, in the same kind of way, slinging from webs, punching people in the face, it's still very grounded because these are ultimately human beings. But with Superman, he's an alien. He can do anything he wants. It's very difficult to code flying through a building. It's very difficult to code chopping everything in half with your laser vision. There are so many things that Superman can do that the scale of the game is something that has never really been done before in the world of superhero games in the modern day. Again, Batman and Spider-Man, very grounded. Superman, he can do anything. So that's kind of my take on that. Interesting to see 2 games have been canceled since 2013 on top of a Suicide Squad game. Very disappointing, to say the least. However, one game that has not been canceled is the brand new BioShock project, which, of course, more clues have surfaced around. BioShock 4 has been all but confirmed in the wake of latest leaks, job listings, and comments by Take-Two itself. More evidence has emerged to support the ongoing rumor that a newly established 2K game studio at Take-Two Interactive is working on the next installment in the BioShock first-person shooter series. During its quarterly earnings call held last week, Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick revealed that the publisher currently has the strongest development pipeline in history and that fans of its games can expect sequels from our biggest franchises as well as exciting new IP. Incidentally, that same week, a new job listing was discovered on 2K's website for an in-game design lead position in Novato, California, the same location of the secretive 2K Parkside studio that Kotaku reported was working on a new BioShock game last year. The position reveals that 2K is looking to build a post-narrative set of systems, quest, and player progression that gives our fanatic fangirls and fanboys more content to experience on an ongoing live service basis, suggesting that this sequel to 2013's BioShock Infinite could be heading in the direction of mini-games as a service titles like Destiny 2 and Ghost Recon Breakpoint. A post on the BioShock Reddit forums has also put together a list of names and respected developers who appear to be working on this Novato-based studio in a mysterious, unannounced project, many of whom were involved in the making of immersive sims like Prey and the original BioShock games. It's unclear when we might hear anything more official from 2K itself about this new title, but with both PS5 and Project Scarlet due to launch next year, it's entirely possible that the future of BioShock is a next-gen exclusive. There's always a lighthouse after all. This is very exciting for me. Of course, I love the BioShock games, grew up playing them, and would love to see a 4th entry in the franchise. But I want to say, just like the Superman title that we talked about, or the Superman article that we talked about, this is still very much so a rumor. But it would be very interesting to see a BioShock take on that games as a service kind of approach, and I don't know how that would work, which leads me to believe that this might not be a BioShock game. Again, I would love to believe that it is, because everything does point to a BioShock game being in the pipeline. Of course, whenever you think about the strongest development pipeline in history, and of course entries from the biggest franchises, BioShock is a pretty massive franchise, even in 2019. And so to read into this and say a BioShock game is coming, that BioShock 4 is coming, is possible, but at the same time, I just can't imagine a BioShock game where you do have a game as a service approach. Now, in my opinion, whenever I think about BioShock, I think about the first 2 games, and it had this kind of abandoned feel. It had this kind of desolation approach to the world of Rapture. But if you did have maybe a reestablished society, some kind of central city like in Destiny 2, you could potentially have some kind of games as a service approach to the BioShock universe where you are essentially an errand runner and you have to go around maybe cleaning out hives of whatever. There are different ways to approach the world. It just depends on how they want to approach it. In my opinion, would love just a regular standard BioShock game where everything is abandoned. I'm fighting big daddies. In fact, maybe I should just go back and play BioShock and BioShock 2. But that's just my 2 cents. If you did want to learn more about the next big BioShock game, of course, Games Radar Plus has everything that we know so far, all wrapped up in one tight, neat little bow. But nothing confirmed as of yet. Now, moving on to something that is confirmed, Echo Fox is gone, according to an investor representative. The prominent esports organization founded by Rick Fox has reportedly released all players and terminated its staff. It appears that Echo Fox, the esports org founded in 2015 by three-time NBA champ and Sharknado 3 actor Rick Fox, is no more. The EchoFox.gg website has been disabled, and a rep for Echo Fox investors told esports site Win.gg that all operations have been halted. There is no Echo Fox, it's gone, the rep said. All the players were let go, the staff was terminated. The logo and uniform, they are now a collector's item. The collapse of Echo Fox follows shortly after the conclusion of an ugly battle between Rick Fox and other investors in the company, which came to public attention earlier this year when Fox said he was splitting from the outfit over an investor's use of racial language, and of course, directed at former Echo Fox CEO Jace Hall. Fox quickly changed his mind, but the fuse was lit. Riot Games demanded the removal of the investor in question, Amit Raizada, which ultimately led to the loss of its LCS slot. Lawsuits followed as they do, and Fox ended up leaving anyway. Echo Fox also maintained a strong presence in the fighting game community with a roster that included Mewtwo King, MK Leo, Day Kill Sage, and Sonic Fox, arguably the best fighting game player on the planet. But Echo Fox was up against a monthly operating cost of $500,000 with no access to capital and was no longer able to continue paying salaries. It's possible that Echo Fox could be resurrected at some point, but the rep said that no action can be taken in that regard until the limited partners who are owed money, paid. That apparently won't include Fox himself. Rick Fox is now out of a job. He's no longer a part of Echo Fox. He didn't walk away with anything, the rep said. His lawsuit against Rezada and Sklavos is gone. Despite that, Fox's enthusiasm for esports doesn't appear to have diminished. He's reportedly entered into a new adventure with Hall, now the CEO of esports social platform Twin Galaxies, and based on his Twitter feed, he's also getting a lot of hands-on time with League of Legends. And so we have the conclusion of the Echo Fox saga. Of course, they gave a pretty good rundown of everything that happened on PC Gamer, but according to an investor's racist language, looks like things began to take a turn for the worst. So you see the closure of Echo Fox, you see the moving on of Rick Fox, and ultimately people are out of a job here, so it always sucks to report on this kind of thing. But once, as the article said, that fuse was lit, there was no helping what was going to be the inevitable, and that is, of course, that Echo Fox has been shut down. But Rick Fox, make no mistake, has plenty of cash, so he's probably going to reinvest in esports in a different kind of way. But glad to see that this is all kind of behind everyone, even if it does mean that people are out of jobs. It just was never going to be the organization that you wanted it to be after everything that went down. Of course, I'm not into esports whatsoever, but I know a lot of people out there were definitely invested in that company. However, if you want to play Minecraft Earth, it's not a competitive game, but it's also available now in early access in the US on both iOS and Android. Minecraft Earth, think Pokemon Go, but Minecraft, was first revealed in May, and following its beta, it's been slowly rolling out to users across the world, first hitting Canada, Mexico, New Zealand, and the UK, as well as other countries. Now it's available in early it is available in early access in the US, and you can download it for iOS and Android. The app worked when I downloaded it for iOS, the author says, but there are a few steps I had to go through before I could start playing. I had to wait a bit for the app to install a content update, sign in with my Microsoft account, accept the terms of service, pick how my character would look, go through a brief tutorial, and then I could start exploring. Once I was through these hoops, though, I had a free reign to check out the world and play through the app. I was able to see a map of my neighborhood, but Minecraftified, where I could tap around on points of interest to mine them for materials. I was also able to test the AR-based building by dropping a little plot of blocks right in the center of my apartment and adding materials I had collected to it. There is a lot more to the game that I didn't have a chance to dig into, including adventures, which are limited time, procedurally generated Minecraft worlds placed over the real world, collaborative building, daily challenges, and a character creation system. And I will fully admit that I don't quite understand all the mechanics of the game, but I can see how it would be really fun, especially if you get a group of friends together to build a shared Minecraft plot. The app seems to be a little buggy, though. I had a few crashes, sometimes the app wouldn't register touches, and once, while filming that GIF, the plot of land hilariously slid away from the camera as if it were on ice skates. But I suppose that's why it's an early access app. Of course, here is a full list of the countries you can play in early access Minecraft Earth now. Australia, Canada, Iceland, Mexico, New Zealand, Philippines, South Korea, Sweden, UK, and US. But this is a very cool concept. Of course, this is more augmented reality than we've rarely seen on the platform, of course, being mobile. But very cool idea. I'm not going to play it, but you might want to. If you did want to dive in, again, it's out now in early access on iOS and Android. So just know it could be a bit buggy, but then you get to do stuff like this where you have a little Minecraft plot and you can play with it on your rug. Or you can wander around your neighborhood and find materials in Bertha's house across the street. Wouldn't go in without knocking first. However, finally, to round out today's show, Sonic Mania's Animator led the redesign process for the Sonic movie. Longtime Sonic artist and animator Tyson Heese was brought aboard to help overhaul Sonic's new look in the 2020 film. The latest trailer for the upcoming Sonic the Hedgehog movie finally debuted yesterday morning, and with it we finally got our first look at the new updated design of the film's titular character. Hours after the trailer arrived, new behind-the-scenes info on the redesign process for Sonic has come about, with one of the character's most popular collaborators revealing that he was brought in to work on the movie. Over on Twitter, Tyson Heese announced that after Paramount decided to push back the release date of Sonic the Hedgehog and redesign the character, he was brought on to help lead the team working on Sonic's new look. For those unaware, Heese has long been tied to Sonic the Hedgehog and previously has worked on the Sonic comic series, in addition to directing Sega's Sonic Mania Adventures video series and the animations for Sonic Mania. Honored to have been brought in to lead the design on the new movie Sonic, Heese shared, working with Jeff and the Modelers, wow, that's a word that doesn't come along very often. Working with Jeff and the modelers, riggers, texture/fur artists, and animators in LA, London, and Vancouver was a thrill I will never forget. Boy, that's a sentence you got to be very careful with, let me tell you that right now. Even though many weren't fans of the first appearance of Sonic in the forthcoming movie, Paramount likely couldn't have consulted anyone better than Heese to give the character a look more reminiscent of his video game counterparts. It took a while to get to this point, but it seems like many of the fans are now far more pleased with how Sonic will look in his big screen debut. Of course, the movie hits theaters February 14th of 2020. And I will say, he did a very good job, and the team did a fantastic job. We talked about this on yesterday's episode of the Jampack Report, but I do want to give kudos yet again to the design team that really dug deep and redesigned Sonic from the ground up, because he went from looking like some kind of sexual predator furry to a legitimate Sonic model, and I'm very proud of the team, and they did a fantastic job. But with that being said, that rounds out today's episode of the Jampack Report. If you enjoyed this one, drop me a like down below if you are watching on YouTube, or if you are listening on a podcast service. Thank you so much, and be sure to leave a rating on your service of choice. But until tomorrow, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. I will talk to you soon, and peace.